Hello, everybody. I'd like to share a few comments about Module 4, Digital Technology Tools for Connected Learning. So I see on our schedule here that Module 3 is wrapping up today, the February 16th. So your comments on the discussion forum are due today, and then the assignment is due on Sunday. And then you'll be digging into Module 4. I see a couple of you have already posted in Module 4. So I thought it's now the good chance to make a few comments about Module 4. So in this module, we'll be looking at some technology tools. And interestingly, one of your classmates commented already that she didn't or is not very strong at using technology in the classroom, but then goes on to list a number of tools and a number of ways that she uses them. So I think a lot of us compare ourselves to some other person that we think uses technology all the time, and we don't realize just how much we ourselves are using. Anyway, that's just a little bit of an aside. So there's some readings here for technologies to help students find their voice. I particularly like this one because one of the things that I find really powerful about the different technology tools we have now that we did not have 10 or 15 years ago or 20 years ago when I was much younger and starting out in the classroom, is how do students use these tools to really share their ideas? And if you think about the use of discussion forums, for example, in this course, how much are we relying on them for you to share your ideas, to find your own voice, and share it with your peers, and then receive comments on that? So I think that's a really powerful uh, feature. So if you go through some of these pages, you see a couple of links here. Talks about online platforms. So I know the page is a little bit outdated. Twitter is now X, Pinterest. I kind of use that myself a bit. TED-Ed, Flickr. I'm not sure Flickr is used widely anymore. Instagram is very popular and so forth. YouTube, of course. Skype perhaps is now replaced by Teams. But generally, if you think about it, most of these are interaction sites, although Pinterest is a bit more content based, and TED-Ed is very much content based. You go there to to find content in, even if you are creating lessons from it. Then you come to this pedagogy wheel. I like this wheel, but it is a little problematic because it's based on the Sammer model. And you look at the Sammer model in module 5, and we'll look at a couple of other models as well in module 5. The Sammer model on the surface it's useful because we look at, are we just substituting non-technology tools for technology and so forth. But I think that's misleading because, if we substitute pen and paper for a Word document, uh, is that all we're doing? I think it doesn't tell the full story of just how transformative that can be. And then, of course, if we start to use that Word document and work with others on the same document, then all of a sudden we're very quickly all the way around to new tasks. Well, we could argue that, are they previously inconceivable? I mean, I see my students out in early childhood classrooms in grade 1 and grade 2 where their students are sitting at tables writing on the same piece of paper. So are they doing much the same thing that we might ask them to do on a Word document? Now they're doing it face to face as opposed to, across great distances, but that's another question. Anyways, I don't want to linger on too much about that. But if you come then to the task itself, you're supposed to look through some of these tools uh, and distinguish between, I think, two key features or two key dividing elements are does the platform, is it mainly like providing content or disseminating knowledge? Whoops, sorry. Or is it supporting interaction? So those are, to me, two sides of this. What are we doing with this technology? So I've already commented on a couple posts, and I'm asking you, what are your thoughts on finding content online or through online textbooks and journal databases and so forth? And then point out that in our own library, for example, there's almost no hard copy books left at all in the library. It's all online. So is that good or bad? And how do we use technology to really support interactions? And so some of you in the past, or some students in previous cohorts, would look at three different tools and how they're being used to, say, promote interaction. The task actually asks you to look at one tool and how three different people are using that tool. So I'm happy for you to do this in either way. And it does ask you to rank these examples in their order of effectiveness. So I think that's quite intriguing as well, the authenticity of the task. Some people think, well, if you're communicating through social media, is it authentic? I'm not sure why it wouldn't be. The richness of the learning, again, sometimes people argue that if it's through social media, it's not as rich and valid as it might be if we were reading an encyclopedia or a textbook. And again, depending on what we're talking about, I'm not so sure that's true either. The strength of connection. So how does the use of the tool allow us or allow our students to connect to each other, to the content, because we still, we can't forget that we are in fact looking at content. So that's what you're asked to do, share that on the discussion board. And now I've been pointing out to some of you in the previous module and to some of my other students about the concept of the medium is the message. So I've put a clip from YouTube. Tracked down a few different clips on Marshall McLuhan. He's a very famous Canadian, but apparently not that famous because many of you haven't heard of him. But 20 or 30 years ago, he was very famous. I'm not sure if he was controversial or not, but certainly a very intriguing person. And he talks about the idea that the medium is the message. So, in this idea that the medium is the message, the point is that it's not only the content of the message that we have to pay attention to, but almost equally important is the tool that we're using to convey that message. And so McLuhan doesn't minimize the value of the content, of course, but what's important is, or equally important is, how are we receiving that content? So if you think about the fact that he wrote this in 1964, it's quite prophetic that nowadays, when we think about social media, we also now talk about the idea of digital literacy and making sure our students understand where our content or their content is coming from. And so this is very much the same idea that the medium is the message. So the medium or the tool conveying the message is in fact part of the message. And so we need to be able to look at who's conveying the message. So the person perhaps is a tool for the message. What source? Is it a more mainstream content provider like MSNBC or CBC in Canada or CTV, and are reviewing it as a news clip through YouTube? So you can see very quickly the medium can get very complicated. It's not just YouTube, but it's news outlets on YouTube or other. And so you can look them up. I've put the link to a Wikipedia article. Again, a great source of content as far as I'm concerned. I love Wikipedia. And you can read a little bit about his theory and the idea of the medium is the message. Don't be confused with another book called The Medium is the Massage. It's sort of a review of the book, of his original work, and it kind of distracts because of the typo. It distracts from the actual message. Anyways, these are all shared. I'll do a an announcement, and I'll share this link, the link to Marshall McLuhan. You can watch the whole thing, but this will start at what I think is a very key point in the interview. And then there's a link to The Medium is the Message, the Wikipedia article. So again, feel free to email me with any questions, and I look forward to seeing your work. Thank you very much.